there is the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and we'll get this thing started. Everybody, welcome to BFM Breakdown. All right, so just like we said before, today we're going to be talking about a very simple concept, but something that gets very, very heavily overlooked, right? Like it influences the flow of fights and your decision making, right? So let's go ahead and get into it.
No height. No.
Now, keep in mind, right? A lot of what you're going to see, right, is purely for example based. Like if, say, we were in an asymmetric fight with the person I'm fighting in here, that might be a little bit different. But this is purely just, for examples.
No height.
Since we come up into the merge, right? Oftentimes, a lot of people are thinking, oh, you're gonna merge fast enough to yank everything you've got, and get your nose on first or as quickly as possible, right? And you can do that if that's what you want to do, right? Like let's say you're merged with somebody in a public lobby, right? Like F14s or whatever, and you're in an F14 and this guy over here, they're in an SU30, right? What do you want to do? Right? Like what kind of fight is going to suit you best? Anybody. You could either type it out, raise your hand. I could pull you up on the stage, whatever, but anybody at all. What kind of fight would suit you best? Okay, tough set. A two-circle fight, right? But the thing is this is what stumps a lot of people, is how do you force that two-circle on the merge, right? Like you just merge right next to your guy. No matter what direction you turn in, that other guy can just match your nose. Well, this is how, right? You come up into that first turn. You see your guy pull in. Like right here, you can see, high aspect, whatever, right? On that first turn, holding on to a little bit more speed. Like, look how fast I'm already almost through the tournament, 443 knots. And then this plane is way above rate band, right? I can see that nose coming, So I'm pulling just enough to avoid it, right? I'm in deep lag. I'm holding on to my speed. I'm just outrunning the nose. And then boom, right here, right? This is the moment where it's like, okay, they're no longer stable in my canopy, and they're starting to move towards the rear, right? This is where I'm going to start my pull. You can see it right here, bleed down from 390 to 360, and I'm not gaining any speed. Even though I'm going downwards, not really gaining any speed, at very little amount, right? Like in these planes, specifically like, the Typhoon, they can gain their speed very quickly coming down and once you get to lower AOAs. But there's a reason for that, right? Like there's a reason that I'm holding out. Rather than just yanking in right here and trying to get my nose on, I'm driving to their 6 and waiting for this moment. You can see through this entire motion, they're sitting more or less at that same length in my canopy, right? Like about a fist or two right above the canopy bow. And then this moment right here, right? Once they reach this part, still about the same length, but I've closed enough distance between me and my opponent that he's going to start moving back into my canopy again, right? This is my point that I'm looking for to start bleeding my speed, right? So if I pull up paint, see, I'm having to usually be doing this in the instance with the little markers because I can, but we'll do it right here. Oh, Jesus. So when we're looking at this image, right, I got my opponent who's sitting more or less right here, right? Oh, Jesus, let me make that a little bit thicker. Right, they're sitting right about here, and I'm sitting right about here. But the difference being is that, I'm a lot higher, and I also probably started faster, right? Like, just from the flow of the fight, right off the bat, we both went vertical. This guy here, they pulled in, bled a lot of speed to get that immediate nose position, right? But we held off, right? We outran the nose, then we pulled. And now we're here. We got all this little bit of separation. As soon as they reach this point, right, where they're starting to, move in my canopy, right? Here's my line of sight. They stayed nice and stable in my canopy bow. But now they're starting to move back in my canopy. As soon as I start to bleed right there at that moment, what's happening? Like who's got an idea of it? Just off the top of your head here. I'll keep this up, Jono. Tell me if anybody answers or who answers with what.
Are you good?
Right? If I start to bleed right here, what's that going to do to my circles?
Raise your hand. Do
Anybody typing? I can't see. I want to keep the example up.
Oh, don't mind me. You do your thing.
Oh, no, I was going to say consider yourself not minded. I was asking if somebody was typing in. But anyway,
No,
if I
no,
start
no, no,
bleeding right
sorry.
here, right, like I'm taking the radius of my circle and I'm reducing it. But, because I'm sitting at the high, or at least middle of rate band on here, right, I can also still get a lot of degrees per second. Right, I'm sitting near optimal. Like, this isn't quite optimal in this plane, but it's near optimal. Right, so if I start to bleed right here, right, I take my circle and I bleed right here, right, that's going to severely, reduce the amount of offset we have, right? So let's see what the result is, right? We're going to come back to the point where we're like, okay, yep, right here, this is where I want to start bleeding my speed. We're still coming down.
No height.
Right about here, maybe we want to hold on to rate.
No.
Now, right here, we could pull in for that shot, right? But if we do that, it's going to create offset. Or at least more drastically, I guess, emphasize offset, right? If I just yank in right here and go for the shot. But if I'm wanting a stabilized 2 circle, I want to keep this guy right up here, right? Like, the way that I'm looking at it, I need to drive towards a 6, right? That's the whole point of a 2 circle, is to outrate the other guy, get on their tail, right? Now, this guy could be pulling in and everything, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. He's forcing offset. I'm trying to outrun the nose. If they continue to do that, they bleed their speed, less degrees per second, yada, yada, yada. I'm going to get around the circle faster than them and eventually get behind him. But if you're, in a asymmetric fight, like let's say this guy's a flanker and he's pulling in, I can already outrate him, right? Like I can sit within my rate band and outrate this guy, no problem, So I could extend right here and hold, even if he's bleeding. And then once again, as soon as I get to that point where he's going to start crossing my line of sight, this is where I'm going to start yanking in. Now, the person that I was fighting here... Oh, wait, do we got a question?
No. Your stream's being a little bit funny. I hope no one else is having the problem, but it means the recording's not going to see your stream right now.
Is it
Yeah. Reduced quality network stuff. I don't know if that's on my end or not.
kind of lagging? Okay. We'll run through it. Just ping me if it's going bad. Somebody find for me. Caps lock my bad. Okay.
Yeah, maybe
we'll
restart
continue on.
Maybe restart your stream.
Okay, yeah, I could do that. Okay, 1 sec. Yeah. Bada bing, bada bam, bada boom. Bingo. Oh, okay, Sonny's wanting to come up. Come on up, Sonny.
You. All right. During that when in that position where you decide to pull in, I noticed that you dive down towards him while we're maintaining that speed.
I'm gonna guess you're talking about this moment right here.
Yeah, you're at a higher angle and you dive down to AOA and somehow maintaining the speed while diving AOA. I noticed that as well, but every time I try to do that, it like bleeds more speed than when I dive down and pull to try to maintain it. And sorry if I'm not making it clear. I'm just saying, how can I maintain the best speed, maintain the speed with the right AOA when diving down?
Like it's just a simple, easy offload, right? So if you see on my HUD here, I'm at like 6 degrees of angle of attack, right? I start to pull in, a little bit of bleeding speed, but right here, right, like if I were to stay pulling the same one, right, because when I started it, I'm at 381 knots, and now I've bled down, like, not a lot, but a couple of knots airspeed, right? If I stayed level with it, right, like, I would be reducing my speed. But because I introduce a dive, right, like, I'm not pulling any tighter here when I go into the dive. I'm just maintaining that same pull. Because now I have gravity helping me out, I'm able to regain that speed on my way down.
No height.
So rather than just being like, oh, I can yank in right here, coming down, I still offload just a little bit, right? Like I'm pulling just like I'm horizontal, like you see here. But because I was already reducing my speed, and now I'm introducing gravity into helping me out and getting some speed back, I'm able to regain a little bit more, right? Like I'm just kind of riding it out, and so now I'm down on the deck, like at 10 or 20 knots faster than I was up top,
Low height.
and stabilized. Like as soon as I go into that dive, right, or that low yo-yo to maneuver in relation with my opponent, I'm still pulling the same exact amount.
Low height. Low height.
And then as soon as I see this, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can start my extension
Low height. Low height.
and stabilize this even more.
So once you
Right,
get
no.
in the sorry.
No, go ahead.
So once you're in that position, once you get the right when you pull in, like you said, then you ease off just to extend so you can get away from his nose at that time.
Yeah.
Try to
so
force
like,
him to lose speed.
sometimes, yeah, no, it's sometimes you don't even need to pull, right? Or you don't need to extend. You don't even need to exert. You know, this goes into being asymmetric or even symmetric, right? In some instances, right, like best case scenario, or I guess worst case scenario, you pull down to your rate speed and you just maintain your rate speed, right? Like there's nothing wrong with getting around the circle faster or as fast as you can, because all it's going to mean is, oh, if we go into this head on, I'm already further ahead than this guy. So on the next turn, I'll get my nose on again and I can put some pressure on him, right? Or I can start making decisions and influencing geometry faster, right? And in this specific case, right, like I'm really fast. I'm at the high end of rate band for this plane. I've got a ton of range between me and my opponent. When I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, we're both high aspect. I'm a little bit further than him. I'm going to continue to drive towards his 6, and then as soon as he starts crossing that canopy again, then I'm going to yank in, right? That's going to keep me stable. You know, it's going to keep some pressure on him. It's like right here, pull, pull, pull. All right, as soon as I see this, like the only reason anybody would be doing this is because they're going to try to redefine the fight. Right, person I'm fighting is thinking, okay, I've got enough room closed down between me and my opponent. I'm losing the rate, and notice, right? This is good on them. Like, you know, we're still fairly neutral. I'm only ever so slightly ahead in this circle, but they recognize that they're defensive very early on, so they're trying to redefine earlier rather than later. Like, okay, I'm gonna reverse it right here, and I was already in the middle of an exertion, right? So like the stars kind of aligned for this. And as soon as we get here too, right, like they're going to come vertical and reverse that turn. It's like, oh, cool. This is no different than, you know, starting an emerge. It's like, oh, their line's here where they start, and mine's here. They're going to reverse this way, and I'm going to follow them, right? Can anybody tell me what this gap is? Right? For those of you who've been doing this for a while, you're going to be able to tell me exactly what this is. But what is it? Anybody who's new or newer, can you tell me? This gap right there. What is that? What is that, and how can you use it?
There's a couple more people typing. Let everyone get
All
their
right,
answers
armor.
in.
What is turning room? Wait, what?
Cozy's still typing there.
Turning room.
Okay, now they just stopped. Yeah, it's exclusive turning room. It's no different than me merging, you know, lower than the other guy or anything like that. But because now they're like, okay, cool. Turn circles are a little wider in this plane, and you know you've reduced a bit of separation between you and your opponent. I can go for my reverse right here, right? Unfortunately for them, right? Right when I saw this image, I'm going to start bleeding down because I want to stabilize circles. It's almost like a pre-turn, or pretty much is a pre-turn. So as soon as they reverse,
Low height. Low height.
I'm already in the middle of that turn, and because I was already, you know, bleeding my speed to come in, it's like that's the point where I'm like, oh, sweet,
Height.
yank in right here. That's the time to do it, and you get that, right? Nose on, their nose is off. Even if you miss this shot, right? Like you start shooting at this person, you get somebody like this, you start shooting at them. Even if you miss, you're putting the pressure on them now, right? They can either continue to try to maneuver however they're maneuvering, right? They can continue their turn and possibly get shot and, try to work back in position, or they have to defend to try to survive. That doesn't happen in this, right? Like, there's so much range and so much reduced speed that they just had all the time in the world to fire, right? But that's just one example of like timing your turns and everything. You notice that through most of that fight, it was nice and stable. Nothing too crazy. There's no head-ons, nothing like that, right? Now, if you're in I guess, what would you have done if in the other aircraft's position? Oh, right here, right here. It'd be yanking in.
The most important one, not get in that position. We'll just get that out of the way. Now I've been not helpful. Go ahead, CD.
No, you absolutely have, right? Like again, like this is an example of someone that's like, oh fuck, like I'm not outright losing, but I am becoming defensive, right? Like if these circles were aligned, right? Like we look like this, pretty much. I mean, the range is probably a little bit more reduced, but we look like this, right? Like I'm just slightly ahead in this circle, but this person, right, is recognizing, oh, I'm defensive quicker, right? Like in this instance, it would have yanked in, gone for that head on, right, or at least close to it, and then reverse the turn.
Low height. Low height.
Try to make it a little bit more neutral. But you can see, right, like whenever we're waiting for those turns and everything, like we're managing our range, we're keeping geometry stable, all this fun stuff, right? So out of curiosity, what's an early warning sign that you're slowly becoming defensive and losing the rate fight, and what can you do to put it back into a neutral fight? You know what? I got another. This is going to be an extended one. I got an older video. Oh wait, fuck, no, it's on the laptop. Damn it. Okay, no, I've got a perfect example on it in another video.
Is your laptop on a cloud or something? You could actually extract it from there.
No, it's not. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But early signs, right? Like if you're seeing higher and higher aspect, it's like, oh, hey, like in this, right? Like if I'm looking at this, right, and maybe that guy he's still there, but instead of seeing the top of his plane, right? Like I don't know how well you can see it, but in this case, like you're seeing mostly the top of their plane, right? It's like, oh, cool. My nose is getting onto them faster. But if instead I'm seeing a slimmer profile, I'm seeing more nose or even the belly, it's like, oh, shit. They're pulling in. They've got their nose on. They can shoot at me, right? Other things is like, they start stabilizing their position in the back of your canopy. Like for most of these, you can see you keep I managed to keep this opponent towards the front, right? Like in all these passes. Oh, look, there's the top. There's the back of their plane. Still seeing the back. Still seeing the back. Still seeing the back. Still seeing the back. Still seeing the top. Now we're coming to the top. Now we're starting to see the front. Now we're starting to see the front. But we're still seeing the top. Still seeing the top. Right? Vice versa. This guy's mostly seeing the top of my plane in the front. Right? Those visual cues. Fucking winning and losing cues. Just based off of what you can recognize on the other plane. Does that make sense? Or answer your question there? Wait, is that Jinglu? Yeah, that is Jinglu. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
But throughout that entire process, because I'm able to keep that gap between me and my opponent, basically controlling the fight, just out of pure geometry, right? And again, going back to that example of, oh, what if you're in a asymmetric fight? Well, guess what? If this dude's in a flanker and they're trying to do this, good thing the fucking Typhoon can keep up, right? Or maybe extend just a little bit further and then start bleeding down, right? Like the Typhoon's gonna outrate the flanker 6 ways to Sunday anyway. Just because this is a symmetrical fight is probably why, this guy is able to keep up as well as they did.
Low height. Low height.
Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom. Are there any other questions before I move on to the next video or the next part of the video?
I'm good. I think that's all the answers to questions.
You got Cozy
Thank you.
asking.
Cozy.
What's the main
So what's the
things you
main
wanna
things
see?
you? that I
you
want
wanna
to
see.
see. I want to see the afterburners of the opposing plane at my front, right? I want to be behind them. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Okay, never mind.
But right, like if you're looking for winning cues, you see either the top or the back of the plane, right? If you're seeing just the top of the aircraft, right, purely just the top, big wide silhouette, means you're neutral, right? You are right across from that other guy. But if you're seeing more of the front, you're seeing slimmer profiles, odds are it's because their nose is pointing at you, right? Or vice versa. If you're seeing the afterburner, like all the way through your turns, they go back into the back of your canopy because you're offset or something like that, right? But you're seeing their afterburner, odds are you're further along in that circle than they are, and you're winning. Any other questions? So if you're losing and they are on your 6, is there any way to change it? Is there? Yeah. Is it easy? No. Also depends on, your plane, their plane. Are they they could be on your 6, but are they slow? Are you fast? Are you slow and are they fast? Right? Like we could throw hypotheticals out there all day, but the best defense I would say is just to be offensive, if that makes sense. 16 versus 16 around the same speed and they're on your 6. Oh, dude, I'm sorry, but you're screwed. Like you have completely and totally lost that fight. At that point, it's desperate, right? You're jinking left and right. You could try to displace your lift vector, but at that point, like if they know what they're doing, they can manage their closure and just sit right behind you and wait until you're all out of energy. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could use geometry if, they weren't sitting behind you. At that point, geometry manipulation is going to hurt you more because that's going to cost you energy.
I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, you're gonna throw a bunch of extra stuff at them with the absolute hope that they have just now that they've flown good enough to get behind you, that they're gonna turn their brain off, and then you can do something, and they're gonna stuff it up so bad that you can capitalize on it.
Honestly, and I say this half jokingly and half serious. Like there becomes a point where it's like, all right, the time for BFM is over. It's time for bullshit, right? Because if you're defensive, the only thing that you can do is make that other guy react to what you're doing, right? And if they want to sit in that nice, stable position and try to get a gunshot on you, right, like they have to correct any errors that you throw at them, right? So if you start doing a bunch of bullshit, you might throw them off,
Yeah.
Might. And there've been a few times where, it's like, oh man, I'm just going to do this out of pure desperation, and somehow it works, right? Like I've done that in VFM a lot where it's like, oh man, yeah, exactly, random bullshit, go. Oh yeah. Even in VFM, right? Like I've been in a couple of ranked matches against like 15s, and it's like, oh shit, I'm slow and I'm in a 1 circle with a 15. Okay, cool. Time to hit the AOA button and pray. Like hit them with something that they don't see coming. Worst comes to worst, you're still defensive. You're back to square one.
Yeah. But yeah, if you got the
other 16s, dude, the other 16's slower, right? And I can outrun their nose. Like they pull lead, jink the shot, fucking turn the other way, stay in the rate. You're gonna outrun their nose if they're slower. Like people can pull lead and everything, but if they're starting out slower and you've already got your speed, you will eventually outrun them. It could be 1 turn or 2 turns or whatever, right? But if they are spending energy trying to shoot you, that's something that you can work with.
Yeah. The drama with doing this, like, benchtop dogfighting though, is like there is so many little bits and pieces of information that you do need to try and process and pay attention to, that our idea of what's happening could be ever so slightly different to your idea of what's happening too. So we can't give like a straight answer either. If that makes sense. It's a BFM is a tool. Defensive BFM being one of them, and you got to use those tools in the situation you're in, because there's never a situation that is like the same really with dogfighting.
Honestly, honestly, the most hopeless situation you could be in is being completely defensive and on the deck, right?
And out
Because
of
at that
speed.
point, it's like, oh, and because now it's like, oh, great, I'm out of speed. I don't have any altitude to get any speed back, and the guy's sitting right behind me.
Yep. And the genuine answer for that one, what can I do is you don't get in that, as harsh as it sounds, try not to get in that situation in the
Don't get
first
in that
place.
position.
Yeah, it's like that's step one. But yeah,
Like
no,
your
shit.
best defense is to be offensive, because if you're offensive, that other guy can't shoot you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I know it sounds very blunt and a
It-
simple answer, but
yeah.
it's the truth. I hate to
Yeah.
say it, but it's the truth. You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, what would you do in this situation? I'm like, I don't know, man. I've never been in that situation, and I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Don't
there's
wanna.
some people out there that are gonna do the right things and hold me. You know, they're gonna hold my oh god, my control zone perfectly,
Yep.
and I'm gonna be sitting there trying to flop around like a fish, trying to misalign geometry or give them closure problems. And then on
Yeah.
the other hand, there's the other people who don't manage it. They go zooming right by, and it's like, oh, cool. Well, that just solved itself.
Yeah. But no, there's a lot of steps to get to that you should be implementing before it gets that hopeless anyway. You know, oh, I'm starting to lose this rate here, like you've seen in that video just there. Like the reaction, maybe didn't do the right thing, but reacted at the right time, noticed what was happening, and did try and change up the fight, right?
Yeah. Right
you-
decision making, wrong execution.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
exactly.
And that's another thing too. We could sit here and talk about decision making and execution all day, right? Be like, oh, the right thing to do is here, but is this in this situation? At least thought wise or decision wise. But then you go out into a fight, and then you don't know how to do it, right? It's like, cool. Yeah, theory's one thing, doing it in practice is another. That's why you need to blend the two together. That's
Yeah.
why whenever we're doing these breakdowns, we always have an example video of a fight. Because I could sit here and draw you graphs and give you hypothetical situations all day long, but that's not going to do anything for any of you, right? At that point, I'm just saying, hey, what I'm teaching you is law, and everything else is wrong, right? Like you need to see it in practice. If that makes sense.
Practice the reversing thing, that made me remember it more than just the sticks.
Yeah, it helps.
It gives you an idea, but I need experience doing it in order to do this.
Yeah,
This is actually great. Any other questions or anything you want to see again? I don't mind going back over the video again. It's less than a minute long. Wait, type here. Yeah, you see that? Less than a minute video. We've been talking for almost half an hour. This is the stuff I like.
It happens.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. What's our best advice for people?
That's tricky to say, right? Honestly, here's what I would say, right? Don't listen to only one person or one group of people when you're learning to dogfight. And practice, 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 practice.
Yep.
Because like what I'm saying, somebody else might disagree with, and then we go into a fight, and then like I get my ass whooped, or maybe they get their ass whooped, and it's like, oh man, this person or this person is wrong or whatever, right? It's like, no, man, that's not how that works at all. Like, the only reason that we find success is because we've got thousands of hours in this. Like we've been dogfighting for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like before Dogfight Central's even a thing, we've been dogfighting for like 3 years over like 4 different platforms. And a lot of it comes from watching videos that other people made, right? Like DCS videos and everything, and reading manuals that people who do this in real life have made.
Yeah.
But
No,
you
that's
gotta you need to you gotta get all those different sources of information and blend them together with practice.
I can't agree more.
That's
Yeah. No, it's all. You know, you're basically filling up a tool bag, right? You know, with your with knowledge, except for BFM and stuff like that. You know, and the more you do, the more variation you see. Like, if some people are going to explain certain things better, the more you check out and watch and whatnot, the more you'll learn. Some things you might come to understand again. Hell, watch the same thing over and over again. Maybe not straight away, but you've been doing BFM for a year or two, or maybe 6 months or something. Go back to that. First YouTube tutorial you watched on BFM, or read through that first document you read on BFM. Now that you've actually had some time to fly the planes and put some of what you know into practice, there's other things you're going to come across in that material that will start to click and make more sense. I've watched the first couple of BFM video tutorials I ever watched. I think I've watched them 4 or 5 times at this point each. And each time you pick up minor little things here and there, you're like, oh, hang on a minute. Or you go, or someone introduces you to another one, and you go like, oh, this guy's got a completely different way of thinking about this, and this makes sense in this regime or that. So, yeah.
one of the big ones, right? The topic today was actually because I went back and rewatched Art of the Kill. Right, I
Yep.
know a lot of you've heard Ben reference it and everything, and it is absolutely great series, great video, great book. You should read and watch that video, right? But one of the things that the instructor, right? Yes, there is a book, right? And the way that it's written, right, is that you read a part of the book, and then you go watch one of the video, and then you go watch X amount of the video, then you go back to the book, and then you go watch a little bit more of the video, and all of a sudden it all just meshes together.
I'll send it your way, Ahmed.
Actually, put it in I was gonna say you could just put it in general chat or something, but it's absolutely fantastic. But the thing that we're covering today is something that they covered, right? I think it's one of the first things that instructor talks about, right? Is entering turns, right? He talks about, okay, hey, you're about to merge with this guy, like they're already in a turn, and you want to follow into them, right? If you turn too early, you're gonna turn right out in front of them. If you turn, just at the right time, you're going to be stabilized already. You can get into your rate and everything. If you turn too late, there's going to be a ton of offset between you, and this guy can capitalize on it, right? But the one that I'm talking about here is a specific example that right, is you enter your turn with somebody, you keep them stable in the cabin, right, or in the cockpit, and then as soon as they start to move in your line of sight, right, again, I'll go back to this example. Where is it? Right here, right? So the way that he describes it is you're in your turn, right? You got your guys staying stable in your canopy, right? Like they're staying relatively at the same distance here from your canopy bow or over your HUD if you're in an F-16 or something with a bubble canopy. And as soon as he starts to move in your line of sight, right? At this point right here, like from here to here, you're going to rapidly see them move back, right? You see that? We'll go back it again. They start rapidly moving back in the canopy. That's where you start your turn, right? That's where you turn in to your rate speed or your, to your corner speed, and then you just hold it. I like to go to rate speed just because it's like, oh, that's the most degrees per second that I can get, right? So if I hold that, I'm not only stabilizing my position early on, right? Or, bleeding in some instantaneous to get around the circle a little bit faster. But as soon as we settle in, it's like, oh, I'm already at rate speed. I'm getting the most degrees per second I possibly can, right? So I'm doing 2 things at once. I'm getting my offensive position and I'm stabilizing my circles or the geometry of my turn circles. That makes sense? Any other questions? Oh, I did see one thing.
Yeah, there was one up a little bit higher.
Yeah, there was somebody, I think it was Jing Lu, who wanted to see
it was Jen.
the initial merge, right?
No. So then the message there is, so what is better, a low altitude merge or a high altitude merge? And oh wait, minion triple was wait, might have missed that one.
Somebody,
too.
I know somebody said they wanted to see the initial merge.
Oh
again.
yeah, no, minion said
That's
they
okay.
wanted to see the initial merge. Sorry.
Okay.
Two questions
No,
there.
it's okay. All right, here. You know what? Well, I'll do Jinglu's really quick, and then we'll go back to troopers. Right. So high or low merge. Honestly, if you're not sure, just meet them. Right. Like even if you're in different planes or you're in the same plane, right? If you meet this guy, right, your opponent at the same altitude, at the same speed, and everything else, the worst that can happen is you stay neutral, right? And being neutral is way better than being defensive because it's like, oh, they can shoot at me, but I can shoot at them, right? However, right, if you see your opponent, like say they're sitting up here, or maybe they're a couple hundred feet above the ground, and you come down here, and they don't come down here with you, right? And you merge like right here, it's like, oh, they're gonna go up, I'm gonna go up too. What's this again? I got all this. What? Anybody? What is that? What is that right there? All that space. What's all that space? Exclusive turning room.
Yep.
Exactly. Like it doesn't even matter what this guy does. They can merge, left. They can merge right. They can go up. They're not high enough to go down, right? Otherwise, they're gonna right into the ground. But you're already starting at a geometric advantage, right? Because you have exclusive turning room. Now, vice versa, right? Like let's say we'll get rid of all this. And let's say like, one person's starting way, way up here. This guy, right, is low. Well, now they have the turning room to come down, right? It's like, yeah, cool. I can merge from down here and come up into my guy, but they can come down into me, right? Like you'd be settling into a vertical rate pretty much. The only difference being though is that now this guy is starting with more energy potential, right? Like they've got altitude to work with. They can get more instantaneous coming down. They're going to start at a faster turn than this guy who's starting into a slower turn. Or at least has to slow down into their turn. And that can result in a bunch of offsets and a whole bunch of other stuff, but we're getting ahead of ourselves here. Like the only reason in VR chat that you see people merging down here on the deck is because in tournaments and even in public lobbies, everybody starts on the ground. Everybody does. Doesn't matter. Now, some people, right, like you've seen Kiki or Porimasu, right, whenever they're in tournaments, sometimes you see them climb up way, way up high, even, in like jets like the F-16 and everything. Well, it's for this reason, right? Like you can still get a neutral merge like this. The other person climbs up, and it's like, oh, cool, I have the room between me and the ground. I can merge into a split S, or I can merge downwards without hitting the ground, right? There's no exclusive turning from there because I can turn the same exact way they can. That makes sense. Replay the whole video? Yep, we could do that. And again, this is all going to depend. It's going to depend on what you want to do, right? Like what kind of fight you want to bring somebody into, and that's going to depend on what kind of plane are you in. Like what kind of plane are they in? Are you in a tournament where you're both in the same exact aircraft? Are you in a public world and maybe that guy's, in an aircraft that pulls way more nose than you, but doesn't maintain its speed and has a terrible rate? Like these are all things you got to think about. After a merge, is better to do a vertical merge or at an angle. Again, depends on what you want to do. Do you want to maintain more speed when you go into your merge? If you do, hey, go at an angle, right? Or if you just want to try and get your nose on as fast as possible, go straight vertical. And it's also going to depend on what you see, right? If you see that person yanking into you, it's like, oh, okay, cool. They're bleeding a whole bunch of their airspeed. If I stay at an angle, I can hold on to my airspeed, drag them upwards, right? They've already bled a bunch of speed and settle into a high altitude rate that, they still have to climb up into to try to get their nose on, or maybe they try to pull lead, right, to shoot you, and you outrun their nose, keep them in that rate, outrain them, and kill them, you know. But it depends on what they do and what you want to do. And that also depends on how fast you merge. How fast do they merge, right? Like, there's so many variables you have to consider that it's almost impossible to give you the quote correct answer, because there is no correct answer.
Yep.
The turning room.
Like, there's 18 correct answers, but there's also 18 incorrect answers too. You know, that's what makes dogfighting so much fun. It's like you could do everything perfectly and still lose. That is life. And then Cozy said he wanted to see the video one more time before we go on to the second example. This is great.
Yep, it's going well. Exactly, it's like chess. Just
Height.
in the air with
No
multi-million-dollar jets.
No
Yes,
height.
we still have a second
No
example.
All right, so yeah, we do have a second example. Into the merge. See, like right here, you know, my nose is pointing up, but I can see that my opponent, you know, is pulling in way more than me, right? And I'm also looking at my speed. Look how fast I am. I'm at 458 knots. Like, sustained rate is for this plane at least, is anywhere between like 370 to 390 knots. I'm almost 100 knots over sustained rate, right? I got a lot to work with right here. So what I'm thinking is, it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to displace my lift vector towards their tail, right? Like, they're pulling into me. They're probably going to settle out coming away. So I'm going to take my lift vector, put it into lag pursuit, or at least pure. I'm going to pull in just enough to deny them lead, but I'm going to hold on to enough speed to also outrun that nose and settle into the rate. See, look, flat profile. There's the nose, 424 knots. Look at where my lift vector is, right? Small high yo-yo, like I'm going above them, still going towards their 6, right? I can see their lift vector pointing down. Mine's pointing in the opposite direction. I'm like, okay, if they're going to continue to try to pull lead, they got to come up. So I'm going towards their tail. I'm going to continue to go up and outrun that nose. And then as soon as we get to this point right here, right, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm above them. We're way too close for them to pull lead. They've just bled a whole bunch of speed, and I'm still really fast. And they're about to transition from, you know, being stable in my cockpit to moving towards my rear. This is where I'm pulling in, right here, this moment. And even right here, right, like they stop going vertical and they go horizontal. All right, cool. I'm going to transition with them. Keep my lift vector on. And then when I see this, like, okay, cool. Slight extension. Slight, right? Gain a little bit of speed, only gained about 10 knots there. And then when I get to this point right here, boom. Once again, that cue. They're stable. And now they're going to rapidly move back into my canopy. Now I'm pulling.
No height. No
And then once again, like, I'm wanting to maintain that pull. Like, I'm not easing off. I'm still pulling the same amount. I'm just going down. I'm letting gravity help me out, right? I'm pulling instantaneous. I'm able to regain some speed.
No height.
Right here. I'm going to try to keep this position,
Height.
right?
No height.
And I love something that I don't want people to get confused over, right? As we settle into this, it's like, oh, well, why don't you just extend further, right? Like, why don't you ease off even more, go further this way towards their tail? Well, then I'm creating too much angle off, right? Who knows what angle off is? Can anybody tell me what that is? Or know what it is? Or even heard of it? Oh no, not when you take not necessarily when you take your lift vector off of them. Because think about it, right? My lift vector is still on him, but if I extend, I create a ton of angle off. You can have your lift vector on somebody and still create angle off. Yeah, kind of, but like, done at the wrong time, you can, but not necessarily. The question was, what's angle off? Or if anybody knew what it was. All right, so angle off. the difference between headings of aircraft, right? So if I got an aircraft that's like, let's say it's going north, right? It's going
Oh, he can't get it.
0, like a heading 00, right? And we got another aircraft that's going west, right? We'll go, fuck, what is it? 280, no, 270, right? 270, right? This guy's going this way. This guy's going that way. This right here is your angle off. It's the difference between headings on aircraft, right? So in this instance, there's 90 degrees of angle off. Now I can already tell what you're thinking, but CD, you're in a circle with this guy. Your heading's always changing. Yeah, that's true. But think about it this way, right? Like I'm traveling in my circle, right? And we got the same size circle because we're in the same plane and we're at the same rate, right? Like if I'm in the same rate as this guy over here, we'll say like every second his heading is changing, right? Now, when I do an extension, you know, I mean, two things happen, right? My rate reduces because my circle's now becoming bigger, right? Don't worry about the alignment. It's just an example. But because my circle's bigger and I'm not covering it as fast, the rate at which my heading, is changing is now different from this guy. I've created angle off, right? So whenever we're creating angle off, we're also increasing the radius of our circle. And if you're in a rate fight, that can both hurt and it can also, help you out, given situations. Like if you're offensive on a guy, but you don't have enough to pull lead, it's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to extend slightly, right? Like let's say maybe this guy's here. Or you know what? We'll get rid of all that. I'll draw a better example here. Right? We'll say maybe this is it, right? A near like perfect aligned circle. And you're here, right? And you got an opponent that's here. Now you've got the position to pull in and fire, right? But because, they're in the same plane, they're going to hold the same rate as you, right? It's like, oh, well, I can't get a shot because if I bleed right here, right? Like in the time that I'm bleeding to try and get lead, this guy's getting around the circle faster, outrun my nose. Oh, well, how do I do that? Okay, cool. We're going to create angle off, right? Maybe right here, you do a slight extension this way, right? This is going to create offset, right? But because you're faster, now you can pull some instantaneous, and now I can imagine what you're saying. It's like, oh, but CD, even if you pull in, right, and you lose your degrees per second, doing this, trying to pull lead, you're losing in the rate, right, or at least a sustained rate. This guy's he could just do the same thing. Well, no, he can't, right? Like whenever you're doing an extension, you're not just flying straight like this, right? Like you're just slightly making your circle bigger. But there's a difference between making your circle bigger and getting faster and bleeding your speed for, lead and becoming slower, right? What can I do with that extra speed? Like, we'll say we're rating it 300 knots. I want to do an extension. Now I'm at 330. What can I do with that extra 30 knots? What's something I can do with it? Somebody other than Tough. Homie, I love the participation, but try to get other people involved. Cash it in. Yeah, exactly. Right? I can cash it in. So it's like, oh, cool. Like I've just lost a little position, right? Like maybe I go from here to here. But I've now created offset, right? Like we'll say we got our circle to come out this way. Right? Just a little bit because we extended right there. And now we're back in the rate, right? Oh, now we've reached this point, right? I'll even do this. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7 seconds. Okay. So we'll say we're right here, right? Same spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. Oh, yes, we have dropped back in our circle just a little bit, but now look, there's a ton of there's room right here, right? And I'm faster. Well, now if I just cash that in, right? Even just a little bit. And now I'm pointing right here. Where's my pursuit curve? Like I've gone from lag to pure to what? Lead, exactly. If I got lead, I can shoot the guy, right? That's an instance where angle off can help you out, right? When you're winning that rate fight, but it's like, oh man, I can't quite, pull lead for this guy. He keeps on outrunning my nose or whatever, right? It's like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm already in a winning position. I'll sacrifice a couple of degrees of position to get my shot off, right? I mean, in this case, like we're not there. In this position, we're not there. We're almost nose to nose still. So if I do that, we can get nose to nose. It increases aspect, and it also increases offset, opens up that guy's options, right? And we're winning right now. We don't want to help that guy out, right? But at the same time, too, if I just sit here and extend all the time, right? We're going back to wait, shit. There we go. I need the circle. There we go. But if I just, oh my lord, there we go. But if I just sit there and extend and extend and extend, trying to get behind the guy or just trying to fly towards a 6, my circle keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes sustained bigger and bigger and bigger. And when that happens, I lose degrees per second. So if I just keep trying to extend out towards that guy's 6, I'm giving up way too many degrees per second. He's going to outrun me, and he could very quickly become offensive. Does that make sense? How much more or less their nose is coming around compared to yours, I would call that rate. Yeah, it does happen. It happens during an extension. Because again, right, like our headings are constantly changing, but this guy's is always changing, like if they're holding sustained rate, it's changing a lot faster than this guy's. It could be by a 1 second difference, it could be by 2, it could be by a full minute, doesn't really matter. The more you extend, the more angle off you produce, right? And it can help this guy out. You become too fast and you get out of your rate margins. All right, look, all angle off is, right, the difference in your heading, right? This guy, he's going 0, 0, 0. This guy, 2, 7, 0. Right here, 90 degrees of angle off, right? Now, in the case of circles, it's like, oh, okay, cool. This guy, his angle of heading is only changing once every, 1 second, right? Whereas this guy is changing maybe every 3 seconds because he's covering more distance, No. Right? It's not necessarily helping you get further behind them. It's more of like an extension. Maybe I explained this a bit weirdly.
No, it's as simple as it's the angle, that angle between the headings. What you're using by wanting more is the is offset geometry. Is that where we're getting confused here? That's how you're getting the angle off. Is by offset. No, yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah.
But yeah. Moral of the story, right? If I just sit here and I extend and I extend and I extend in the hopes that it's going to align our turn circles, I'm reducing my rate by creating too much angle off.
Low height.
Right?
Low.
Redefine. Already started our turn. Pull in. Bada bing, bada bam, bada boom. Happy days. Any other questions? How much is, for lack of a better term, mental load during an average dogfight? Would you say thinking real hard or not at all? If you asked me back then, it would be heavy, but now, no. Like a lot of this will become instinct the more and more you practice it, right? Like you're not gonna think about it, like, oh man, if I see this and this, I need to do this, right? It'll be like, oh, I see this and this right now. I'm just gonna do this. You know what I mean?
The more time you put in, the more ends up being, instinctual, which is what they kind of want with the whole idea behind BFM theory. They're putting this guy in a multi-million-dollar jet, You know, they don't want him to, just have an absolute brain fart and not think this. This is why they go out and they train. You know, they want them to, know, okay, that guy did that, and just instinctively start doing what they need to do to react to it.
It goes into the OODA loop, right? The faster you can work through that, the more successful you are going to be in a dogfight, right? And the only way you get faster at it, right, is that flow, thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Turn thought into instinct. Because as soon as you take away that like half a second or even second that it takes for a normal person to look at something, process information, and make a decision into something that you just instantly do, it saves you a lot of time and makes a huge difference, especially at higher skill levels, right? Like we've talked about this before, where like that 1 or 2 knots in a rate could make the difference. At high skill levels, you see somebody just slowly outrating the other guy, but yeah, no, like the faster your reaction time is, the better. And as soon as you turn, thought into instinct, well, now you've just reduced it about as much as you possibly can. Like oftentimes, at least from what I've seen, like people overthink a dogfight way too much, and they kind of overstimulate themselves with what kind of decisions they can make, and it costs them the fight, right? Like they think so rapidly or try to think so rapidly of what to do that they just end up not doing anything. That makes sense?
No, that's perfect.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll get into the second example.
No height.
All right, so here we're going to do the opposite of what we did in the last one, right? Rather than wait for it, we're just going to yank in. Now, right off the bat, right, we're still pretty fast, but we're a lot slower than last time, right? This guy's stable normally. Like, if I was trying to go for a sustained rate, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll extend my turn right here, wait for him again to start crossing my canopy, my line of sight, and then pull in, right? But instead, we're just going to keep yanking in. You're going to notice one very big difference between this fight and the last one. And it's how close we're passing one another, right? Like I'm pulling in, I'm pulling in, I'm pulling in. And yeah, right, like I could go for this kill still, but that guy, he can yank in and try to shoot me as well. And if that person's in a flanker, it's like, oh, I'm helping them out because as soon as we get a close in pass, he's going to reverse it and put me in a 1 circle, right? It's like right here, oh, I'm yanking in, and maybe if I was in a flanker, it'd be like, oh, cool, right here, I'm gonna yank in. Maybe I'll go for a quick snapshot. But even then, right here, right, like look how close we are. He's right in front of me. If I needed to, I could reverse my turn as soon as I pass by him, or I could even pre-turn it right here, turn this into a 1 circle fight. Staying mostly in lead or pure, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, and then right here. Right, my opponent's like, oh, hey, just like last time, they're like, oh, I'm losing ever so slightly, right? But like with this reduced amount of range between us, I'm gonna reverse that turn, and now look, we're completely neutralized now, head on, and we collided. But that's something to think about, right? It's like, what do I want to do? Oh, cool. Maybe I want to stabilize this. Hey, I'll extend here, and then I'll pull here. Or, if I want to go for that kill, get more offset, and I'll just yank, 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 right? And get into a situation just like this. Where you get force-fed an aircraft right in your face. That makes sense? Questions? All right, cool. If nobody has any other questions, you don't want to go back over anything else, we'll go ahead and I'll get the instance up. We'll do some fights, put some stuff into practice. Yeah. Replay
Sounds
second video.
good.
Yep, we can do that real quick. All right, nope, that's the first video.
Oh shit.
No height.
All right, so coming
No
into the
height.
merge.
No.
All right, pulling in. Unlike the last time, we're not going to be you know, timing it to get a nice stable rate fight. We're just pulling in. We're trying to get offset, right? So we're pulling. As soon as they pass, okay, maybe we go into rate. Maybe we go into rate. Oh, quick little high yo-yo. Coming back down into it. Pull. We're reducing that range between us and our opponent. Like you see how much closer we pass one another here. And then the same thing here again. Pull.
No height.
Just get closer and closer
No height.
until they reverse their turn. And now we're head on. Right? Could have prevented it, like in this situation, could have prevented it by, you know, extending first, waiting for them to get to that point where they start crossing our canopy and our line of sight and then pulling in. But, you know, like if we want to create offset and everything, it's like, oh, maybe I'm in a flanker or something, right? That's exactly what you want to do. Like you pull in, you create that offset, you know. All depends on what you want to do.
Another thing to just note maybe there is, because it's an okay example of it from a starting off offensive position, is the other guy notices he's defensive and does make that reversal. He wants this head on, and instead of having, you know, being defensive neutralizes it, goes to a 50-50 instead of being what, you know, 80-20, 80%, you know, 80% chance of loss to 20% chance of win to a 50-50. So they are in that situation. The other dude is going to do that if they're using their brain.
Okay, Jingler just asked, when should you cycle flaps in a fight or just keep them on or off? Depends on what plane and what world you're using, right? So if you're in a world where, you know, well, the F-14 world, right? So why is F-14 world? Where you have a thrust to weight ratio of 3, it doesn't really matter, right? Like flaps flaps constantly down because you've got the thrust to overcompensate for the amount of drag that your flaps are going to make, right? Like that's just going to make your overall turn performance better. Now, say you're in a world, you know, like a desert air base, right? You're in an F-16 or something, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. I accelerate faster with my flaps off, but I turn better with the flaps on. You know, like that could be varied. It's like, oh, do I want to extend here? Okay, well, if I'm going to be easing off of my turn anyway, maybe I'll kick them off, you know, that way I gain speed a little bit quicker. Or it's like, oh, cool, if I want to yank in here, then I'll go ahead and I'll turn them on really quick so I get a tighter turn or a better turn. And then you got worlds like, say, White Cliffs, right, where your planes don't have the thrust to overcompensate for it, right? It's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm in a rate fight. Maybe my flaps will give me more lift, but they cause so much drag that I won't be able to be at my rate speed, right? So maybe I'll kick them off. Oh, okay, cool. Now I'm in a one circle. Now, because I want to be slower anyway, now I will put the flaps down. You know, I'll help them. That'll help me slow down. It'll help me create more lift. I'll be a little bit more floaty and help me outperform the other guy, right? If they're committing to that one circle with you. Like it's all variable. You're like, no matter what world you go into and everything, you're just gonna have to practice with the planes and feel, I guess, what they like, right? Like there's some worlds where they're like, oh, cool, this plane and this plane in this world absolutely dominate with the flaps on, but this plane in this same world, right? If I turn the flaps off, it also dominates this way, and this way, right? Like the MiG-29, okay, Desert Air Base MiG-29 with the flaps off, I'm telling you right now, is absolutely goated. You sit in the rate, but that thing has so much nose authority that unless you're fighting another MiG-29, you really don't need your flaps, right? You can sustain higher speeds and still pull a crazy amount of AOA in that thing with the flaps off, right? But, you know, again, these are all hypotheticals that you just throw out. You know, it's a lot better to put it into practice. I mean, and luckily, there's some worlds like this one, right, where with the Typhoon, you know, it doesn't have flaps. The Typhoon. I'm not even thinking about it. It's just raw aircraft performance. Make sense? Or help? If there are no other questions, we'll go ahead and I'm going to close this down. And I saw one person ask what plane we're doing today. Congratulations, we are going to be in the P-47 today. Oh boy, happy fun times. I'll tell you right now, this is a plane that you can vary your flaps being on and off. Joke's on them. I told them the P-47. They're going to join and it won't be. I mean, what? I don't know, man. You're just going to have to figure it out when we get there. But